Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So, in 30 minutes, I'm going on Tim Black. I am uber excited about this. So the conversation is going to be, the Democratic Party is over. It's an interesting topic. Essentially, it's getting at this idea of no labels. Like, what does it mean to function without a political party or without a political ideology? Now, everybody has some ideology, even if it's not necessarily geared around Democrat, Republican, some kind of religion, some kind of whatever. There's always some kind of base operating system which a person functions under. Now, the weird part about parties is that ultimately that system that people operate under bends itself to the will of the party. So you can have a situation where somebody toes a particular line or toes a particular agenda, even if that agenda is not true. By virtue of functioning with the party, it's almost like you're forced to be a hypocrite. Your objective is to get into office, to get into power. Well, if you're out of power, you were doing some of the same things that the people were doing in power, and you thought it was okay when your guy was doing it because that person is affiliated with your particular party, you're going to be a hypocrite just by virtue of being in the parties. The point I'm getting at is, you can come together under this idea of integrity and honesty. Not necessarily the parties. Integrity and honesty runs counter to party affiliation, believe it or not. Loyalty runs with this idea of party loyalty, but loyalty is not the same thing as functioning with integrity. Loyalty means I'm towing a particular line because I'm affiliated with X. Integrity is my affiliation is with my own sense of right. It's hard to function in a party and function with your own sense of right. At some point, you are going to be called to do something that's gross, or to support something that's gross. Not necessarily because you want to support it, but because you're part of the apparatus. The sooner we get away from these parties, the better. The sooner we get away, the better. Because understand the situation to which you find yourself. Often, because if I'm right about the hypocrite thing, the moment that you identify yourself with a Democrat or with a Republican, you're going to engage in arguments with the other side. As you engage in those arguments, you find that both people are hypocrites. Both people have this thing where they look with a particular set of lens or with a certain amount of scrutiny with the other party, but gives their own party a pass. It's like the things that these guys say to each other is on their wavelength, so they give them a pass. They trust their party. When Obama comes out and he says, hey, the TPP is the most progressive policy in the history of policies. Well, yeah, he's lying. He's lying. But progressives believed it. Democrats believed it. When Hillary Clinton comes out saying she's going to put a missile defense shield in Syria, Democrats went along with it, even though that could have very well led to a nuclear war. When Donald Trump comes out, I'm going to drain the swamp, and turns around, and not just drain the swamp, adds alligators with lasers on their heads, they still stood by him. People who identify with a particular party identify with that party almost like a social thing. Thick and thin. The problem that I'm getting at, or the point that I'm making is, if you're stuck in a situation where you need to toe a line to a particular party, what does that mean for your values? And what does it mean for your own sense of right? I'm taking this position because it's right, not because my party is prodding me to do it. Yes, there's some positions I can take that are right and that my party is prodding me to do it, but ultimately it's more important that I'm loyal to my party. If you're loyal to your party, you're not loyal to the rest of the country. You can't have it both ways. You can't serve two masters. So yes, these parties need to go. These parties are running interference for us to change the actual framework of the system to which we exist in. If we want to get rid of poverty, crime, all of these social illness, mental degradation, war, if you want to get rid of all these things, you have to get the substructure, the model itself. You can never get to the model if you're dealing with two parties, because those parties are paid not to talk about that model. They're paid not to talk about the model. And beyond being paid not to talk about it, from just an incentive structure standpoint, if you're getting millions and millions of dollars to get elected, are you going to bite the hand that feeds you and have this conversation about the ruling class or the elites? Probably not. Tom Perez, when Sanders mentioned ruling class, if you didn't know any better, Tom Perez got up, set himself on fire, and jumped out of a window. Like, that's how fast he was trying to get away from Sanders when Sanders made that ruling elite thing. But that's the conversation you need to have. And if you're affiliated with your party, that's not going to be a conversation you're ever going to have. That's not going to be a conversation you're going to have. You do have some bold stalwarts who may bring that out. But Sanders is not a Democrat. His power base is different. If you're functioning in a way that you need a huge amount of cash to get elected, then the party is going to bend towards that huge amount of cash. Then it becomes this issue of, where does your allegiance lie? With the party and the huge amount of cash, or with your constituents? If we're basing this off of the Princeton study that looked at this idea of America and legislation that's passed, this country is an oligarchy. Meaning those people made the decision to go towards party, which made the decision to go towards cash. If you want to change this society, if you want to change this world, you got to start at the parties. You have to start at the parties. You need to understand that they're running interference. And the stuff that they're bringing up, for the most part, is just used to pick a fight. It's like Diet picking a fight with Coke. I mean, it's like Pepsi picking a fight with Coke. As if there's a massive distinction between those things. There's not. There's not. It looks like a massive distinction because you don't have two parties. Just from an optics standpoint, this party's for one thing, this party's for the other thing. It looks like two extremes. It's not two extremes. Those parties are for the most part the same thing. The scam is getting people to believe that those things are extremes. They're not. They're not. So I am over looking forward to being on Tim Black's show today. I am excited. It's funny, the closer we get to the show, the more excited or the more slight anxiety that I get, which is amazing. But I'm looking forward to this, guys. So it will be live at 9 p.m. Eastern. Tim Black. Thanks, guys.